I stand firmly in the fact that I'm one of the best to ever do this. For the culture, for my coast, and for my city. This is the best Rapper in L.A. podcast. And I'm your host, Murs. What up, though? This is Rob. While he's standing up, he's probably gonna try to be shy, but I've never met this motherfucker in my life.
You have when I was a kid.
Yeah, when he was a young punk. He sold me some oregano no, I'm just kidding. He's from Minneapolis, and he joined my Patreon. Okay. I didn't know it was like that for Minneapolis. Purple Rain, all that. Golden Gophers, Rhyme Sayers.
Prince lives here. We got 10,000 lakes.
And I was doing it on my Patreon as for Patreon, but mostly I was started a podcast for my kids so they would know. I don't know shit about my dad, and I wanted them to know everything because they're gonna listen to the music and be like, "Oh, he was a fucking idiot." And I was like, I have to explain these words to them. And he joined the Patreon. I was like, and my friend Jay, who's here, was also like very honest with me. Like, your podcast sounds like shit. He was like, your podcast sounds like shit, but I do podcasts for a living and I can make it sound better for free. I'll do it for you, bro. Because I think your stories people would like it. And I was like, you think people want to hear this shit? And he edited it and started adding music and making my voice sound good. And then he started charging me, but not full rate. But I still never met him. I only knew him through so I met him for the first time today at LAX. And this podcast wouldn't exist without Rob Van Franken. So thank you. And without all you, and I think we're like almost 3,000, Rob, weekly listeners.
Yeah, 2,500.
2,800. Okay, that's good. So thank you for listening, all 2,500 of you. And I hope you enjoyed the pizza and the beer. Usually, like the podcast, I don't give a shit because it's free. You guys got to deal with it. But those of you that pay for tickets, thank you. It all went to buying the beer and the fans and the PA system. So thank you. All right, Rob, you got to get up. We're going to put in a black person in that chair. Same height. This guy I met 30 years ago, and he used to teach me karate in Aunt Ethel's basement. But we'll get into that story. He was originally the third member of 3MG until they broke up. And maybe we'll talk about that. He's the reason I rap the way I do. And he owns this place that we're in, him and his partner. And his name is Savant Young. Where are you at, Savant? Good to see you. So he's the first guest ever to be on the Best Rapper in L.A. podcast, quite possibly the last. So Savant, I don't know how many MMA. He's an MMA fighter. He's a football player. He's a lot of things, but a dope MC. If people don't know that, and now he races Japanese import cars. But tell your beginning story, like your story.
I mean, where do we start? Man, first off, thanks for having me out here, man. This has been a long time coming. We've always seen eye to eye on a whole lot of stuff. So this is just one more of those things. So shout out to my boy Nick Carter first. I mean, where it start for me, there's a lot of starts. There's L.A. I mean, the low bottoms. If anybody know what that area is, this is where Nick's family's had a cleaners for the last, I want to say 70 years now.
Yeah.
It was an area where, you had many black neighbors and black professionals and, black enterprise, things of that nature. And then it all changed, but.
Yeah. I was like, tell the sad story, the tearjerker.
The first tearjerker, I mean, which one? I mean, I got one for y'all. I mean, how about this? I didn't lose my mom, but I lost my mother to the system at 12 for 18 years during the crack epidemic, like a lot of us, young black kids in L.A. did. For starts.
For starters. So I'm gonna tell the story. You can just tell me. I will play. Is this true? So I went to Hamilton High School. I was living in Covina, where you live right now, where Arrow Lodge Brew. Shout out to Arrow Lodge Brew for the free beers. They started in Covina, and I grew up in West L.A. and Linwood, California. I moved around a lot. I went to Covina, moved back to L.A., and I went to high school, and none of my friends liked me. All my friends I went to elementary school, they didn't think I was cool anymore. Like literally acted like that. I'm like, I'm Nick. Remember me from second grade? And they're like, you don't have an S-curl. You don't have Dockers. We're not talking. Like, it was like really like mean girl shit. And I was like, fuck. And I was already selling and smoking weed, and that wasn't cool. Black people didn't smoke weed unless you were like a hardcore Crip or Blood. So the cool kids didn't smoke weed, and I was on drugs, and that was weird. And I was kicked out of algebra class, and I was standing outside of the lockers, and this Filipino girl walks by. And my only friend, real friend in Covina, because he was the only other brown kid that was into tagging and weed, he was from a gang called B&G, Bahala Na Gang. He was Filipino. So I saw this Filipino girl. She was like, what's up? You got kicked out of class? I was like, yeah. And she had the Source magazine. I was like, you read the Source? And she's like, yeah, man, my boyfriend raps and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then we became friends. And she's like, yeah, my boyfriend's in a group with the guy Eli. And Eli was winning every rap contest. He was a 14-year-old, 13-year-old white kid calling into this hotline and leaving raps on a voicemail and defeating grown men. And I was like, Eli? He's white? He's 13? He's in a group with your boyfriend? I'm like, oh my God. And so me and this girl became best friends. And she like, I don't know how we ended up on karate. And she was like, you want to learn karate from my boyfriend? He's from South Central. He's from K-Dub, but he lives in Eagle Rock, and he's a black belt in Kempo and all. So yeah, the story I heard, so she was like, meet my boyfriend. I come to South Central to meet him at USC. I don't know if he remembers. He was like a football star at Eagle Rock. And he has his shirt off in front of the USC theaters with these electro pads hooked to his breast. And it's like, this dude is swole. He's 16, 17 years old. He's a monster. He's sitting out.
How do you remember this shit?
And what are those things? What are your breasts called when you're a man? Your pectorals. So his pecs are jumping with electricity. He's like, what's up, man? I'm like, oh, shit. This is the guy's going to keep teaching me karate. And I'm like, this is new technology. This is 1993. And this is also USC in the middle of South Central. Like, people die in front of this movie theater. Like, when Boys in the Hood came out, motherfuckers shot each other in front. So I'm like, who is this guy with his shirt off like a king with his pectorals jumping like Hulk Hogan? I was like, yeah, I want to learn karate from him, man. And so she was like, yeah, like his dad is this, his mom's in jail. My homegirl, he like a white, like really like The Blind Side, like a white family took him in, let him live in the basement.
Yeah, I'm testament.
Yeah, so he could play football at Eagle Rock High.
Yeah. And
I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta go. So my mom drops me off in Eagle Rock. They let me into the front door. I go down in the basement. I'm from the hood. Like, I never seen a futon. He had a futon. And he had comic books up on his wall, all these Spawn limited edition comic books. He had turntables. And he's like, all right. So, Tommy horse stance and like a whole. So I was like, I don't know what's true or what's not. But like, did the family take you in? How did you meet this family?
I mean, it happened exactly like that. It was the typical, hey, what are you doing, kid? And who are you and what you about? And just very curious. And, I think they, they saw a good person in front of them that might just be in a bad situation or, not have a certain opportunity to progress. So, call it what you want. You know what I mean? I think it's people helping people, and and it was a catalyst for me to meet you. You know what I mean? You meet Eli. You meet Scarab. I mean, it was such a.
But yesterday you told me, like, because they all went to 32nd Street Magnet School in South Central, which like where they put all the smart kids. Now that we know the government was monitoring us all, but
yeah,
they were all there. And this whole time I thought he went to the school, but you were just up there banging on people.
Banging.
So you did. So a white girl that went to the school,
yes, was my girlfriend. You know what I mean?
So you going up there to be a tag banger turned into you meeting Eli, Scarab, and this woman, and this lady whose parents would take you in.
I celebrated holidays, Jewish holidays. You know what I mean? I ate bagels and lox, and I enjoyed good times. You know what I mean? But my girlfriend took me in, put me in school. Man, I was hood, like you said. I was banging. I was going up there looking for anybody that got off the bus that didn't belong there. So, and that was pretty much that.
Let's go into the logic of that. There were human beings taking public transportation, but you were there to deem who belonged there and who didn't.
Pretty much.
You were the bus monitor.
Yeah, straight up. And I moved to Eagle Rock. I went from L.A. to Eagle Rock in a blink, right after the riots.
And what was that like?
You know what? It was actually pretty dope, man. I mean, I grew up, as blacks and Mexicans in the hood, or otherwise, you the popo, I guess, But I went to Eagle Rock, man, and that was the first time I was exposed to different culture. And the coolest thing when I moved to Eagle Rock was in the hood. I'm talking about Rick Ross time. I lived next to a Filipino family, and they were super dope. They used to invite us over to eat. And I mean, we were ghetto as shit, you know what I mean? But they showed us what culture was, and they weren't really included into the South Central fold, so to speak. And when I moved to Eagle Rock and went to Eagle Rock, the first people that I linked up with that really took me in were Filipinos. And I'm the only brother there. And to be real with it, they were on all the same shit I was on. Everybody bumped the same music. We was break dancing and shit. So Eagle Rock was my initial contact with another culture outside the hood, and you know what that is when you're from L.A.
Yeah, so it was culture shock, literally.
Culture shock.
So I met him, and we're hanging out with all these Scarab is from Mount Washington. Eli is a white kid from somewhere else. The girl he was dating is from Rosemead. We were the only two people that were really
from
the hood.
That.
But we didn't know that. So then I sat down and started talking to him. He was like, yeah, I grew up on 20th and Central. I was like, oh, my family has a cleaners on 25th and Central. Even yesterday, we were talking, I used to go play Miss Pac-Man around the corner from his house, but it was dangerous for me because I lived in West L.A., but I had to go work at the cleaners in South Central. So I was around a bunch of Bloods, and I'm from a Crip neighborhood, but I was I'm playing Miss Pac-Man. I don't give a fuck. But he kept me grounded in you could be from the hood and be different. We were two people that got a chance. Had I not moved to Covina, I would be out of my mind, banged out. Had he not moved to Eagle Rock.
Yeah.
And so time progressed. I don't know if we're going to talk about why. So Eli, and Scarab had a group called Miscellaneous Minds.
Through blurry daydreams, reveal vivid thoughts. Subliminally, motivating messages, pretesting my negligence, my mental. Editates my vocals, vocal cords, they shell my mental. Those distorted mortals, nervous system central. On uni walks the horizontal plane that's never end. Impressive, my penmanship make my rapping signals I'll be sending.
And you have to keep in mind that these were 13, 14, and 15-year-old people, the thought of this name for a group called Miscellaneous Minds. I don't even know what you guys were thinking.
Yeah, I don't either at the time. You know what I'm saying? But I thought it was dope. It was dope.
And I was a fan, and I was I want to be their manager. Because I was already just into the industry of studying. I wanted to go to music. There was two programs in America, two colleges that had a music business program. That was it. University of Pacific and New York University. That was it. But I wanted to be an A&R. I was interning at labels, and I had records. So I was I'm a DJ for Miscellaneous Minds. And we were over at his house. They just had a football game. Eagle Rock won. And he was like, we're going to a party. We're going to kickback. We just won. And now Highland Park is very different than it was.
At that time, it was very different.
So I didn't know the politics because it was Highland. I'm out of South Central. I'm out of West. I'm out of L.A.
We made it.
We're good.
Yeah.
So we all mob down the hill, and then Eli stays back for whatever reason. And we're walking, and I don't know if he called us Mayates or what it was. But dude, he didn't hit us up. I ain't never been shot at with motherfucker not saying, where you from?
Yeah, we had to at least get that one.
He just saw that we were black walking through Highland Park. But he's the football star. I'm I'm with the dude. We're good.
Yeah, we outside.
Pop, 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 pop. You just start letting off. And that was the end of the night. We never made it to the party. And I was like, fuck. I thought I got out the hood. Like, I don't go out when I'm at home.
Yeah, we went from one hood to the next.
Up at Eagle Rock High School, ball game, I was hanging out with my dudes. Got the dub, so the celebration must continue. Hit the house, change clothes, what could we get into? Somebody said a party, fool, a party where shit is close enough to walk, so we didn't care. We was never scared, started mobbing down the hill. Made a left on 57th, that's when shit got real. Lots of ball heads, Dickies, and that Ben Davis. We was with the ball players, thought that would save us. But when we walked up in that party, man, you should have seen the dirty looks we got from everybody. We was trying to see some titties and some tecate, but it was obvious they wasn't fucking with my yates. And out of nowhere, all I heard was get the strap. That's when we all did the dash like we was running track. We hit the fence, then saw a pit. Man, fuck this dog. I stepped in shit. Then we heard the shots. We hit another fence. Now we in the alley and hit that full sprint. Running like a motherfucker. I could hardly catch my breath. Saw that we came out somewhere on York and then we made a left. Saw McDonald's, tried to run up in that bitch and it was closed. That's when I saw him come around the corner. Said, oh shit, let's go. I remember fighting out in Highland Park. Bullets flying, people screaming, crying in the dark. Swore I was about to die out in Highland Park. Early 90s before gentrifiers made their mark. I remember fighting out in Highland Park. Bullets flying, people screaming, crying in the dark.
So eventually the group broke up. So I ended up taking his place basically in the group, and we became Three Melancholy Gypsies. And that's when we did Sunspray.
For everything there is a time. I'm stealthy, I'm mentally taking your wealth. I happen to be an MC that cannot be defeated by anyone else. See, I'm at the top, I gotta get you off these people aspirin for the pain. Wait, your styles are lame. Even the rigor mortis, you're mortified by this name. Over the top of your head, and my lyrics are pissing you off like a condom.
But I always stayed cool with him.
Right.
And
because he kept it 100. You were a real one. You know what I mean? And I think, that's just was something needed at the time. What do we know back then at 13, how to keep it 100?
But they had a dope song called Submental. They had another song called Bookworms. Do you remember your verse? Because I remember your verse.
I don't.
These are some of the first MCs that I like. You inconspicuous, ridiculous, can't fuck with this. Incoherence is the reason why I twist your
brain.
Regurgitate and rehabilitate your puny soul. Your aptitude is ridiculed, so we disassemble your dome. Like, I was like looking at him like, fuck, he's 14. Like, and he knows karate and he's good at football. Fuck this guy. Like, I gotta work on my raps, bro. Like, I was really like amazed by who you were. So my mom said, like, if you're gonna rap, you gotta get the fuck out. Are we gonna talk about he was making a lot of money and wasn't gainfully employed. I want to talk about specifically what.
I mean, which one?
Yeah, exactly. So he showed me things I like, amounts of money I had never seen.
Yeah.
Firearms that I had never seen.
All that.
So one day I went to him I got kicked out of my house, but the guys I was selling weed with, we had just put down on a new apartment by somewhere in Ladera Heights, new apartment complex. But we were selling pounds of weed. Like, we had money, and I was at your house, and when I got the call, and I was like, the guys, they called me on three-way. That was a big thing back then. And the guys were like, hey, our parents talked to us and we didn't factor in the cable bill and the phone bill. So we're going to back out of the lease. And I was like, oh, fuck. I'm sitting, like, my mom kicked me out. Like, I don't have a place to live. I'm sitting in his house talking about, we're both in illegal business making money. I'm like, me and my business partners are about to move in. We're about to start selling weed in Ladera Heights. And we got a couple pounds, like, we setting up shop. And it all crumbled. And that day, I had also played you some music. We were in a group called Log Cabin. I was making this crazy space age rap because I was really just trying to escape.
My verses wreak more havoc on the MC's personal life than curses. Verse is making the universe recognize and submit. After we rip script, you must admit, Log Cabin be the bringers of that next shit. Taking this game to the next level like a warp zone. I hold the microphone like a scepter, pushing it through your optical receptor. And you're still not seeing me with the mic. And every time I confront an MC, if you like, he's always hesitating.
Like, I was hanging out with my brother, my little brother, a bunch of Crips. But I was making music about lasers and how Dr. Dre sucked and Snoop Dogg and Do a Dog Pound was stupid and Black Moon was real hip hop, even though they all rap about guns and weed. But I was just tired of black people killing each, like,
Yeah.
it was just like gangbanging was so stupid to me. I wanted to be different or so bad that I was ignoring my roots. And I played this song, I had a song with a white guy that was like, he was also criticizing black music. And he heard it and was like, nah, man. He was like, we're sitting here, it's like, there's an AK-47, there's 3 pounds of weed, there's like, what you're rapping about is not what we come from. And you don't have to be stupid, but this isn't you, bro. Like, just rap about who you are.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I still had the comic books on the wall.
Yep.
He still was like practicing martial arts, but we were both put in kind of situations where we had to get money. And so that's when I became Murs. That's when I became who I am. I was like, there's nobody like this in rap. Like, there's gangster rappers and there's weird rappers. There was nobody that's like, I'm kind of gangster and I'm kind of weird. And
AKA backpackers.
yeah, I'm a backpacker.
We were backpackers at the time.
Yeah, we were back, but in the backpack was a lot of different. It
A
wasn't.
lot.
Yeah,
A lot.
So I always credit Savant for like changing my life, because I was like sitting in that basement, in Aunt Ethel's basement, like I was like looking around, like, yeah, there's turntables, there's weed, there's some guns, there's all of this is hip hop. And the more I got to meet KRS-One, because people were like, KRS-One's first album is Criminal Minded. Listen to my 9mm go bang, like.
Wa-da-da-dang, wa-da-da-da-dang. Hey, listen to my 9mm go bang.
When I met Doze, and he's from Rocksteady, he's an OG B-boy. He's like, yeah, we used to smoke dust and rob people every day, dude. But we were good at breakdancing too. And we were good at graffiti too. Like, we weren't privileged kids from the suburbs. We were hood kids that did illegal things, but had artistic mindsets.
And I think all those things were things per the situation, right? We weren't bad kids, but we had to, get to the next day, and whatever that entailed, that's, the moves we made. And I think that was a big moment, man, being that, you were on your thing, like you said, you was rapping about some shit that wasn't what we were or where we were about or what we seen or grew up or, and it was important, man. Just like I think you kept it 100, I had to keep it 100 to you in that sense, and let you know that who you are is how dope you are. You personally, and at the time, you always were on yours, man. So, case in point, we sitting here enjoying that.
Yeah, thank you, man. So yeah, I didn't talk to him for a while, and then I don't know how we reconnected, but he was like a legitimate MMA fighter. Like in the days, like before, like when UFC didn't have weight divisions and shit. Like it was like in Pride and like Vanderlei Silva, Rampage. And I was like, you do that shit?
Yeah.
And he was very good. It's the first person I ever seen do a Superman punch. Like before it was like, because you can see like, I don't know what you stand up, but he's like, what, 5'5"?
I mean, something like that. But yeah, the fighting was my thing, man. Y'all rapped, I fought. And I think, we all did it, right? I remember them times we was in the backyard getting it in. We used to just literally read books and go practice what we read in the backyard, you know what I mean? And train martial arts. So low key, you were on your way, but
yeah, I took rap serious, and
you took rap serious. I took fighting
so
serious.
he's my only homie I ever went to see fight. He fought at the Forum when they had, what was that league that had the teams?
Yeah, the International Fight League. Yeah, we used to be on teams on Channel 13. It was like the first kind of like IFL, NFL, whatnot. So it was a team-based MMA organization that I was a part of, and that took care of me, man. That definitely took care of me to this point.
Yeah, it was what I realized, like I shouldn't. Auntie Holly was here somewhere. She fights as well.
Holly, she is a fighter.
Yeah.
She know my folks, actually.
I can't go see my friends fight because we're at the Forum and I'm watching him fight, and somebody hit him and he started like getting taken down. I was like, I want to get up and be in the ring. Like, I'm going to jump in. Like, I can't watch my friend get faded. Like, it was against.
And it was a white dude, right?
Yeah.
So you just like went crazy.
I was
You're
like,
not supposed to lose and shit.
I can't be here. Like, this is tearing me up inside, that it's against everything I know to let this happen. And so I was like, I'm not in that. I was like, you had to change your mindset to even be a part of that world. I was like, I wanted to jump in and like
shoot him.
I didn't want to say that,
Nah, man. I mean, it is what it is. You know, sport is sport. Wins, losses, rap battle. Like, take my fade, and I was with it.
And so you after that you started your own fight academy?
Yeah, I did. Went from doing the fights, retired from that, traveled a little bit here and overseas in Japan, and then started a gym. I knew that was going to be the calling for me. Doing something that I knew how to do, and I never had to, put a suit and tie on and shit. So I've been doing that for the last 17 years now, man, training kids how to fight.
Okay, so plug that because we're going to put this on the podcast. What is it?
Fight Academy Pasadena. I've been in Old Town Pasadena for 17 years. And man, I'm letting the kids know what hip hop is. You know, all the kids in there, they listen to what we listen to now. I give them little quizzes and I'm feeding them hip hop as I teach them how to fight. So it's pretty dope.
And this is the part of the story I don't know, just so you can describe why we're in this building with all these cars. Because then we fell out of touch. And the next thing I know, you're like, I'm walking down the street with my kids to go to Tried and True to buy some vintage, whatever the fuck, to find my wife a Christmas present or something. And this motherfucker's like, what's up? And I'm like,
yeah, I've snuck up on your ass. Yeah. I mean, that was very like, funny to like run into you right there. And the funny thing is we were talking about you though. Like just about a week ago before that, somebody was like, my boy that we came to your show and drunk all your Jameson up. You remember that night?
Yes, at the Fonda.
Yeah, I ended up, man, that was terrible. But yeah, man, that day was the day we reconnected, man, on the real.
So I was just running, and then the funny thing I told him if you walk out of here down on Jesse, he used to write, or I don't know if I should say that, but it's past statute of limitations. He used to write Zoner. And when I was walking with my kids, I saw the Zoner burner that's down here. And I was like, yo, this fool Savant used to write Zoner. I wonder. And then a couple minutes later, he pulls up on me. I'm like, yo, like, look at God. And that piece is still there. And I was like, yo, but how did you get in the cars? What is this place?
And this is basically, what we're doing right now. We sitting here celebrating people, celebrating you, me, the vibe, hip hop, music. But essentially what this space is a clubhouse for my classic Japanese car group. I've been into the classic Japanese cars since I was young. I had uncles that used to race these cars in Compton and the street races and in Gardena. So that always kind of gravitated towards me for the type of car I would like. It was kind of like, everybody in the hood, you had the Cadillac or the Regal or the, whatever other car. These cars appealed to me because they were kind of like the Hot Wheels and shit that I saw as a kid. So I just kind of carried along with that. It became my passion along with fighting. And this space became like a hub for all the dudes my age that may not have put in as much time and effort into doing this. We wanted to have a landing place for all of them to just kind of come and talk cars, buy whatever you need for cars. It's one of those spaces where when you come in here, you can, buy some for your car or not, socialize about cars or not, pop in just because you walk down the street and saw Murs in here doing a podcast with his boy, come check it out or not. So it's just that, man. And for me, it's most importantly, it's the second half to my life, right? We work to retire or work for whatever the reason is to live, but I'm at a point now that I'm trying to enjoy my hobbies in my middle point, and this is one of those. So as many times as I can do this or race cars or host fight events or I may have to like write a 16 or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm at that point in my life now before it's too late. Cause I think what we do is we truncate our living trying to prepare for some shit that we may not know happen, right? Like we gotta save all your money or do. I'm trying to live right now today. I'm not about suppressing my feelings. And this is all that. All these people here, I know you guys took time out your day to come kick it. For me, this is the first. I've done many interviews, but this is like a different setting, and I'm happy that it's in my space. And this is just love, man. Like I'm enjoying life. That's what this is. This is pretty much I've manifested this day, and here it is. I'm sitting in front of it, and all y'all are part of this story.
It's beautiful, man. From somebody who legitimately, like, at 12-year-old had no parents.
No parents.
No parents.
Zero.
Or Hoover and Adams.
Yeah, man.
So, like, you've always inspired me. Like, I never had an excuse. I didn't have it as rough as you. And you know what I mean?
Right. But you was a real one, though. You was always a real one. Like, always there, always ready to scrap, even though you really couldn't get that. You know what I'm saying? You was ready, though. You know what I'm saying? You were always ready, though. That's the one thing I would say. Wouldn't trust it, but you was ready. And that's sometimes strength in numbers, though, right?
That's honest. The honesty, bro. Like, I've never said that.
Yeah.
I'm a fight.
You was down. I know that.
I'm not going to win. I may not, but I will fight. You're going to have to fight me. Speaking of fights, we're gonna kick you off the couch of your own place. But
yeah, that's fine.
Before I kick you off, we're gonna show the better than the best video. So when we reconnected, I was like, I'm shooting this video for Warner Brothers. He's like, you can shoot part of it at my gym. So it's like I'm going to the comic book store, like all the things that are a part of my life. And I was like, oh shit. Once again, at the right time, I've reconnected at Savant at a moment where he's shining, I'm shining, he's in the IFL, he's on TV fighting. We'll fight in the video. This motherfucker must have slammed me on my neck so quick. It's so fucking hard. And then he put me in a rear. I was watching Pride fighting. I had a Vandalay Silva watch. I was all into this shit, bro. But I had seen a rear naked choke, and I see motherfuckers like, they put it on somebody, and then the guy's like, grabbing the wrist, putting the fingers in. This motherfucker put me in a rear naked choke. I was like, stop. Like, look at his biceps, bro.
Hey, that shit was funny.
I was like, what in your mind makes you think, let me think how to get out of this instead of just tapping? I was like, I could just tap. Like, this motherfucker's huge bicep, like, went on my jugular vein. And I was like, oh, no.
I got to watch that shit, man. When was that?
That was 2008, 2007. He's like, okay, yeah, so I was like, let's just act like we're fighting. He's like, yeah. Ha. Boom. I was like, fuck you. Damn. But there's nothing I can't fuck him up. Like, it's not like what I'm going to do.
We had to make that shit real for the camera.
Nah, man. You and John Cena did that shit. John Cena slammed the fuck out of me into a trash can in South Central.
That's hilarious.
But that's what I was telling you about, the people, like all especially a lot of the essays and like dudes that bang in the internet. When they were kids, I brought John Cena to 25th and Central.
Wow.
So they never forgot that.
Wow.
And he signed everybody's autograph. But fighters, when they get a chance to fuck with non-fighting people, they will fuck you up, bro.
For sure.
John Cena fucked me up. He's like, oh, yeah, bro, you want me to F5 you in a trash can? I got you. Wow. Now, that wasn't a good one. Let's try it again. Wow. Like, I had scrapes on the back of my places I didn't know I could have scrapes, bro. He broke my mom's gate. He threw my homie, like, through the gate, through an iron gate. Like, he clotheslined the fuck out of my homie, James Brown. Like, it was... When you ask to play with motherfuckers that fight, they don't play.
Yeah, don't do that.
They're going to show you real quick that we do. So thank you for choking me out. After that, anytime I see anybody in like an Affliction shirt or with like a cauliflower ear, I'm like, before you say if you get angry at me at all, I'm going to hit you with the biggest thing in sight. Like, it's not a fair fight.
Run.
Yeah. Fuck that. I'm going to shoot you like off rip because it's not even fair. Like, bro. Rear naked choke. You put me in a rear naked choke, bro.
I had to, dog.
Who says that? I had to.
I mean, it was your video.
It was my video. So when you watch the better than the best video, please look at Savant choking the shit out of me and slamming me on my neck. It really hurt. He didn't pull any punches.
I did not.
I'm sure. But September 1st, he's having fights on the other side of this wall.
September 1st, this next building over, we're going to be hosting some live MMA fights / kind of like a car show.
Yeah, you and Herb Dean. I don't know if you guys know Herb Dean, the guy with the dreads. So that's his friend. They're all Pasadena dudes.
Yep.
And so him and Herb Dean have started their own fight league. It sells out quick. So they sell 1,000 tickets like that.
Maybe you can come sing the anthem.
I'm not getting in that ring, bro, because you might fucking choke me out. I'm not.
You know what I mean? Come sing the national anthem.
I'm going to sing it like Biz Markie, as long as you promise to keep your hands off.
Do it.
Keep your hands to yourself.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Yeah, all right, so I'm singing the national anthem September 1st. Make sure you come. Make some noise for my boy Savant, y'all.
Thank y'all, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, girl. Come here.
Yeah, so what I had this for, I wanted to do a live version. We're at Sooo Comfortable, which is a song about my Cadillac. We're at a car space. That song was recorded in Pasadena, produced by a guy named Joseph Lineberg. And he's in a group called Madcap, and he played the trumpet.
Number one, phenomenon one, phenomenon two, phenomenon number three. Then my abracadabra for the double sensi. Number enough dumb respect to the 360. One of the my copy boys giving them much quality.
And when I got a bunch of money, I tried to spend it with will.i.am and people I knew that were hip hop legends. They're like, Joseph Lineberg. I was like, Joseph from Madcap? Fuck yeah. And I went over there and he's like, I know Savant. His fight academy is right down the street. And he gave me this record called Sooo Comfortable with Kokane singing. I don't know if you guys know Kokane. He sings on all the Snoop Dogg shit.
We stay up boy like Stacey Adams.
That's right, y'all. Kokane. It's going down.
Hell no. We stay up boy like Stacey Adams.
That's right.
Stacey Adams.
Stacey Adams, y'all.
Hell no. We stay up boy.
Joseph is a musician, like amazing trumpet player. He can play he's just amazing. And I had to go into his studio and like rap. I don't know any of these motherfuckers. And I'm like, man, Savant, knowing Savant got me a little cred that I was like able to like, so I wanted to tell another story because I don't really want to talk about that song so Cocane's part is the best part of the song. I did a show in Olympia, Washington, where I don't know if you know Kimya Dawson. She did Peach. She was in a group band called Moldy Peaches. She did all the music for Juno. And she plays a guitar. She's a mixed woman. I think that's how she identifies. And she's just like, she has dope songs that are all acoustic guitar.
I took the Polaroid down in my room. I'm pretty sure you have a new girlfriend. It's not as if I don't like you. It just makes me sad whenever I see it, 'cause I like to be gone most of the time.
I knew she was from Olympia, and she said she was coming to the show, and I was like, oh my God, Kimya Dawson. And Idea loved her. And we bonded because we both loved her. I'm like, oh my God, Kimya Dawson's coming to the show. And then I get a call, I was like, I never met Kokane. His vocals were pre-recorded. He's like, I live in Olympia, I'm coming to the show. I'm like, Kimya Dawson and the most gangster vocalist in the history of rap are both gonna be at my show. This is weird. And then after the show, Kimya's like, do you wanna come to my house and eat eggs fresh out of the chicken's butt for breakfast tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm vegan, but I'm like, this is Kimya Dawson. I'm gonna eat eggs tomorrow. Fuck it. It's fresh out of the chicken's butt. And like, her daughter was there and we played chalk in the front yard and it was just an amazing thing. But it was just like seeing her and I was scared to say the word bitch in front of her. I'll say it in front of my Jehovah's Witness grandma, but it's Kimya Dawson. Like, fuck. But Cocane's here, I gotta say bitch. Like, I gotta do our song. Like,
Riding like a continental.
Look, I got the seats back. My boy rolling dope. He rolled down the window cause he know I don't smoke. Parked on the block, laid back in the cut. All of a sudden, some suckers in the bucket roll up. They say, where you from? I say I don't bang. Can't you tell from the way that my dreadlocks hang? He looked at me strange, but kept on pushing. My boy just laughed, kept blowing that cushion. Now he kinda high, talking that nonsense. I chill out, chuckle, and I make a couple comments. It's obvious, we ain't got nothing else to do. Been chilling in the same damn spot since 2. Sitting on the lack, 96 in fact. Eldorado, L-Dog, just to be exact. All intact, nothing too flossy. Feeling like a superstar, sitting so saucy.
I'm so comfortable.
but Joseph Lineberg is a genius. Kokane is a fucking genius. I don't know how he could sing that song that way. He's amazing. Yeah, and it was the last verse is about sitting with my homeboy in the car smoking weed. And I don't know what about young black men thought it was like a good idea just to sit in an active gang neighborhood with the windows down in your car playing music and smoking weed all day. That is a fucking death trap. And I was just like, I listened back to that song and, it's about getting hit up and just being like, back when dreadlocks, I could have dreadlocks, and I was like, you can see I'm not a gangbanger, but now gangbangers have dreadlocks. At least I have gray hair. And that kind of says it. But back then I was making a song about, but I never understood what the point was of sitting in a car, smoking weed, listening to music all day. It's fun, but why did we think that was not a way to die or go to jail? So listening back to that song is cringe for so many reasons. But around that time, I also bought a SL500 Mercedes. And that's the last story I wanted to tell. I had a Nissan Murano with a CVT, which had a belt transmission, which anybody that we're in a car place, it was the best thing because if your transmission goes out, you pay a fuck ton of money. For the Nissan Murano that year, it still had a tape deck and a transmission you could fix for $30 with a new belt. I was like, oh, I'm going to drive this car forever. Then I started making more money and more money and more money. And then I couldn't buy a house because I have a Cloverdale tattoo. That's my neighborhood. I went to buy a house on Cloverdale where if I lived there, I would still have to have a gun, where there was bloodstains on the corner from a dice game I was at. And I left 30 minutes before my homie got shot there. That stain is still there. And they wanted $900,000 for the house in 2007. I was like, you're fucking out of your mind. So there was a guy that got his cleaning done at the dry cleaners, and he owned a Mercedes dealership. And my mom was like, my lease was up, and my mom had a Mercedes. My mom had never had anything that nice in her life. And I was like, fuck, this guy supports the cleaners. My mom got a Mercedes. I was going to buy an Audi S5. It was like 2007. I was like, this is a new car. I saw it at the car show. And at the convention center, I grew up going there. I was like, I sat in this car. I can actually buy one of these cars now. It's an Audi. It's not like I could drive this through the hood and motherfuckers were like, that's weird. We're not going to carjack. What's the Audi S5? Who gives a fuck? I go into the Audi dealership off the 10 in West Covina. I say, yo, I'm here to test drive I was going to pay cash. It's a $50,000 car. I have $50,000. I'm going to buy this car. I just want to drive it first. I know I'm going to buy this car. It was like a Persian dude. He was like, you want to test drive the S5? That's only for serious buyers. I said, all right. I called my mom. I said, yo, you know what just happened? She's like, go to Mercedes right now and see my guy. I was like, I don't want to. That's too much, Mom. And my mom doesn't understand. Like, my mom had both parents, blah, blah, blah. And my mom grew up in the neighborhood, but the neighborhood wasn't the neighborhood it is now. And it's just a different era. I'm like, Mom, I can't go. Like, I still go eat at Earl's on Crenshaw in Leimert Park. Like, I cannot park a Mercedes there and not have a pistol on me. Like, I still go places and I shop at the Slauson Swap Meet. I'm not like an Audi. Like I said, niggas be like, what's that? That's weird. What's that? A Mercedes I'm getting got. She's like, you're paranoid. Go fucking. I went to see him. I was like, I want the G-Wagon. I want one of those. He's like, I can't put you in one of those. They're on back order. How about the SL500's convertible 2-seater? And another thing too is I had these huge dreads, and that was it. And sitting in the Murano, my dreads would scrape the ceiling all the time. It was hard for me to sit in there because I had that big one sticking up like that. So I wanted something with like lower seats. In the S5, when I went to the convention, I could sit in the S5. I went car to car at the LA Convention Center, sitting in cars to see which one fit this big dick sitting on top of my head. And so he's like, you could fit in the S5 because the G-Wagon had a high ceiling. He's like, you could fit in the SL500. I'm like, I'm not into cars. I don't give a fuck about V8s. So what? And I did it. He's like, he's a black guy. He's like, look, you went to drive the Audi, right? This car's $30,000 more than that. No one's ever going to let you test drive a fucking sports car with a V10 or whatever the fuck. Get in the car. I'm like, all right. I got in and I was like, fuck it. Mom was like, fuck it, buy it. I was like, fuck it. I bought it. Man, I got so much attention. I got followed. So one of the songs is about a girl seeing me in my Cadillac, blah, blah. I went to a store on Melrose. I came back and a girl put her number on the car and just said, I like it rough, with her name and number. I was like, holy shit, this shit really works. Like when people say this is a pussy mobile, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, okay. And it was across the street from the American Apparel store. I was like, oh, that girl has to be cute. I didn't call. But still, I was just like, this is weird. But then the opposite was true. Like motherfuckers would pull up on me and shit. So I was like, I asked another rapper I knew that still was like, oh, I was in Gardena this weekend at my homegirl barbecue. Oh, I went to Compton to see my grandma. But this motherfucker drove a sports car. I was like, how do you do that? He's like, oh, nigga, I just keep the Desert Eagle. I let it call. Niggas know I'm not playing with them. I was like, whoa, what? He just told me so nonchalantly, like, nah, you just pop, and niggas know. I was like, no. I was like at this point, I was like, I'm making like $300,000 a year, bro. Like, I don't want a gun again. Didn't we do this to not do that? So I started feeling trapped in this car, and I started telling my homies, and all my homies, like, my grandfather was proud of me. Like, I took the car to Ladera Heights because my grandfather was the oldest, and his younger brother, all his brothers that came out from the sticks to live with him, like my uncle lives in Hancock Park. He played golf with Bill Clinton. He's a fucking rich as fuck. My other uncle lives in Ladera Heights. All of them got richer than my grandfather and live in better places. So they kind of stun on him sometimes. So then I took the SL 500 I took my grandfather. He's like, drop me to your uncle's house. And I was like, all right. So I drove up there. And I was like, take your brother on a ride in a convertible. And so they drove around L.A. in my convertible. And that was a moment. My grandfather could do that. I was like, great. Then we're going to take questions for a few minutes. Does anybody have any questions that listen to the podcast? Go ahead.
I was just wondering if you're going to cover album 2?
So I stopped covering the group albums because somebody told me your podcast would be better if you had guests. So I'm saving all of that so when I can sit down with Sean and Slug and like talk about those things, because my memory's fucked up, so I don't really remember shit. Season 2 will be of Best Rapper in L.A. will be me sitting down with people in Living Legends, with Slug, with Fashion, with people in White Mandingos, with everybody and doing that. Any more questions?
Murs, question. Your music has always resonated with me from my teens to now. One thing I wanted to know was that, as an indie rapper, Black folks are not always as receptive to underground rap. And my place of refuge that I sunk in was video games and underground rap. I want to know 2 things. How did you guys form that relationship with the developers at Neversoft, who did Tony Hawk? And then how do you convey your message to, all the audience, but how does it follow on Black ears? You speak on so many Black issues. You collaborate with so many artists of various cultures. So I just wanted to know, how do you push your message more to the folks?
Oh, okay. Thank you. This is my homeboy Palm. You should follow him. He has a great blog. He's a journalist because he loves it, not because it's making him rich. Yeah. The Neversoft, the video game thing was weird to me, man. They're like, we want to give you money for your skateboarding song to put it in a skate. I was like, number one, yes, because I love that fucking game. I don't believe you made it. And yeah, of course you could put my music in there for free, but I think they gave us $5,000. And I made it in true Murs fashion. My homeboys that work at the skate shop made the beat. I made a song about skateboarding with some dudes that I met in Brea, and they made the beat. So real skaters got paid. I'm a skater. We all got paid to be in Tony Hawk, and it was fun. We would have done it for free. When they put our music in 411, which was a video skate magazine, I was like, you don't have to fucking pay me. So many rappers they're using my music illegitimately. They got at least $10,000. I'm like, bro, you know how many kids are discovering you because your music is in 411? And plus it's in 411. It meant something to me because I knew it. But certain rappers on the East Coast of my homies were like, I don't give a fuck. What the fuck is 411? I was just happy to be there. And so then I would get made fun of because my fans weren't Black. And it kind of feeds into your next question. But I was always my fans are going to grow up to do cool shit. And so some of my fans grew up to work at Neversoft, and they use that opportunity to put me in a game. And when they did DJ Hero, I got to be in that game. And then when I was in New York, I got to be in Midnight Club Racing, and I got to go walk through Rockstar Games. And I was I took advantage because most rappers are well, how much are they paying me? Give me the check. I was can I come down? Can I have a Rockstar jacket? Can I play some new games that aren't out yet? Can I? And they're you actually like games? I was yeah, I love games. And I would engage with the people, and they would say, okay, we'll put you in the next game, and we'll put you in the next game. And because I was just That's how I ended up in Fight Night and all these other games, because I was a gamer, but I treated them like they were humans. Like, yeah, I'll come to your job. I can come to the EA Sports office. Fuck, I'm gonna walk through, meet everybody, ask them what they do. What do you guys eat here? Like, you get paid to fucking just play the game and tell them what's wrong with it? Are you fucking kidding me? Fuck you. Like, I would joke with people, but I would go off like, you sit on this beanbag every day and you have a salary for telling them the bugs in the game? Fuck out of here, bro. Like, and we just became friends. But to your question, like, I don't try to push the message. Like, in like certain conscious rappers never made sense to me, because I would always be like, in my head, I'm like, I know, you know, and I know that you're talking to white people. Why are you talking to white people about hating white people? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Like, why are you calling them crackers? Like, they're the ones that keep you alive, bro. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you know, in other black rappers, I won't mention that, like, cracker this, cracker that, and then you're fucking the crackers after the show. Fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like, I never got that. So it was really weird to me. Like, sometimes I read the room, you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna, there's some songs I feel weird performing. I look at the crowd, I'm like, fuck, like, what are you guys connecting with? And it's like, what part of this speaks to you? Because this is a very black story. Like, Walk Like a Man is a very black story. And motherfuckers be like, bro, do Walk Like a Man. I'm like, what the fuck part of this do you get? Your homie got shot? Like, no. But it's the same authenticity that it's authenticity that people connect with. It's passion that people connect with. It's the beat. But also, I also had to realize, like, my whole life, even when I went to an all-black school, black kids picked on me. You know, like, I mentor kids in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're like, man, you just, you know, because after show, I'll go out with them to the Catfish spot. I'll be in the hood with them, and one of them came to my house, and they met my mom, and they came to Inglewood. They're like, oh, you a nigga for real? Like, you have black parents? I'm like, bro, like, yeah, I don't know. But, like, black people, most black regular don't like me for whatever reason. So if black people like my music, that would be weird. That would be me being inauthentic. And it had to be, like, at first I was weirded out by it, but I was like, well, like, I've always been an outcast, like, within my own community, and I bond with other outcasts within their communities, it seems like. Like, you could be Latino, but if you're a weird Latino kid, you probably like this weird black, and we're just weird humans, you know what I mean? And weird and intelligent humans that read tend to like my music. So I can't stop talking about my black experience, but I don't push a pro-black message. I'm very pro-black. Like, that's why I always talk about, like, motherfuckers, are we outside? I'm like, bro, I'm on my studio's on 25th and Central. I'm in the hood every day. I just went and dropped off, like, my homie works for Steph Curry's thing, and people know, like, when he works for Steph Curry's Unanimous Films, and they're like moved offices. They had all these office chairs. And when they were moving, he called me. He was like, because they know I'm still really out in the community. They're like, do you know anybody in the community that could use these chairs? Like, yeah, my homie just started a STEM center. They have computer desks, but they don't have any chairs. I'll take all those chairs. So I took my mom's cleaner's vans. Me and him loaded up 24 office chairs, and I took them to 52nd and Main. But I'm like, okay, where the fuck is all these other rappers talking about they outside? Like, I'm really out here dropping off chairs to these kids. I'm really out here every day on 25th and Central, stepping over human feces and, like, buying meals for people. Like, I live in Inglewood. I'm walking around with my kids. I'm at Darby Park when my kids play basketball. Where are these rappers at that are so black, that black people love so much? These people don't love you the way I really love black people, but my music isn't about, it's my job. And I'm not going to push a pro-black message to a crowd that doesn't resonate with that message. I'm just going to make my art. This is my art and this is my life. This is my community. And I kind of had to learn to separate both. If I have a message for my community, I'm going to live that message. I'm going to talk to the kids. And so that, to me, is how I don't have to say what they say. I don't have to talk about what they talk about. I don't have to dress how they dress. But if I show up authentically as myself in our community, to me, that's how I push the message. Yes, sir.
At what point in your career do you feel successful?
Oh, okay. This is my big homie, Andre Lowe. He's a very, very, very important man in my life. When I was just a little scumbucket, grommet, as like some skaters say, I was a little nobody. He took interest in me. He was super kind to me and introduced me to so many things that, you know, saved my life. And another person like Savant. Thank you, Dre, for coming. The Last True Gentleman, if you follow him on Instagram, he has really interesting, like, he reads the Wall Street Journal and all that other shit, so I don't have to, and like articulates it in a way and I can understand it. Yeah, I felt successful. One day we were doing Felt, which is with Atmosphere. Me and him felt successful. We were walking through a grocery store and we were like, you know, and that's when I started learning, like, he was a poor, weird kid from Minneapolis. He's half black, quarter black, quarter native, half white. He looks like a white kid, but he grew up in the hood. And we were walking through the grocery store shopping for us recording Felt 3. And we're like, fuck, man. We can buy anything in this fucking grocery store right now. We could fill this whole basket up. I can go get another basket and we'd be good. And we just had that moment to get like, that's crazy. Like, that's not what I could, that's when I felt successful. Like, I can have as much, I remember going and being like, I'm balling if I could buy Minute Maid right now. If I could get that Minute Maid fruit punch, that was a good day in my life, you know? Like, budgeting, like, I had a homie once that was like, if broke was a person, I beat their ass. He's like, I want to be so rich that when the gas pump slows down, I could just put it back and not like wait for the last 20 cents to go. You know how it goes slower? He's like, that's how rich I want to be. Because that's how poor we were. We were like, that's rich. To not take the last 20 cents of gas, to be able to buy Minute Maid every day in every flavor. Like, when I could buy 2 flavors, when I could get the fruit punch and the summer punch, nigga, I was like, woo. So when that was when one time I felt successful. And then when Herb put me on the cover and my mom saw the cover of the magazine and she was like, oh, like, and I remember I came home for, I forget which birthday it was. And we had been at odds for a long time. Like, we still loved each other and we talked and we spoke, but there was something missing. And when she knew that I had finally, like, she knew that I was going to be okay. Because it all was just a fear that I was going to starve to death being a rapper. Because there was no successful rappers. That fucking was an idea. You know, if you listen to the podcast, you've heard it. Like, EPMD was saying, rap has been around long, making mad noise, you see. Still, I haven't seen one rapper living comfortably. Rappers weren't throwing money on women when I was a kid. You didn't become a rapper to become rich. So my mom didn't fucking understand it. It was disco to her. It was funk. Like, where the fuck is George Clinton right now? Like, you know, to her, you know, where's Phoebe Snow? That was her favorite artist. Like, they're not living this shit. You're gonna die. You're gonna starve. Get a real job. Go to school. But when she understood that I was gonna make a living, I think it was the cover of the magazine. I laid down with her in the middle of the day. I surprised her and we just took a nap. And that was it. That's when I felt successful. Like, when my mom was at peace and we could just lay down like I was a baby again. And we just like took a nap in the middle of the day. And ever since then, I had nothing to prove to anybody. I was like, okay, this is it. This is success. Making my mom happy and being able to eat whatever I want when I want is, especially after traveling the world, like, that's not a freedom a lot of people have. Like, we take that for granted, and I'll never forget that. Yes, sir. This is a real journalist right here, Andres.
If you did book 8 News 2024, what would be kind of the top line, good line?
If I do it all the time just to get it out of my head. I write the lineup. Cause I try, and like, one day I'm hoping that somebody gives 60 East the money he needs to do, and I come to 60 and be like, cause he's humble enough to always call me and be like, what do you think? And I always have ideas of people that are too expensive or too cool. I'm trying to think the last time I thought. Like, he booked Coast Contra. I was really hoping, I'm not saying it was my idea, but we were on the same page. I think Coast Contra, OT the Mexican, Little Sims would be a headliner for sure. Doja Cat. Because I think she's some people that doesn't, like, she's an Atmosphere fan. Like, people don't know those things. Like, she's a Ninth Wonder fan and she could really rap. Giving her a chance to come out and really rap. At this point, I would do Black Eyed Peas just because, like, I could probably afford them now. I would try to, like, do a Griselda thing. Mac Hami. Soraya, this girl I just heard the other day. Yoshi T, this Japanese kid from New York, was really dope. Reverie. Mayday, because they never got to do paid dues. MGK. But all rap set. Prime. Royce the Fire 9 and DJ Premier. Yeah, like shit like that. And it's all over the fucking place.
It's been a while since I've been in the live show routine. I'm gonna start mentioning them here since we have a community. Shout out to everybody that came out to this thing. It was amazing to see the community, and I thought it was gonna be all my family and friends, but we had some new family and friends that I met for the first time. Lots of good questions. We're still trying to put together all the audio. Hoping you're enjoying this snippet of it. Gonna find a way to get you guys some mugs and t-shirts. We got a little bit of merch and stickers. Yeah, but I got a show this Thursday, August 15th at the California Academy of Science in the Golden Gate Park from 6 to 10 p.m. It's myself with Z-Man and the Cuffin DJs from San Francisco, and KALW will have a karaoke booth inside the museum. It's going to be amazing. The Nightlife Remix Series. They had La Russell last week. They got me this week with Z-Man. If you don't know Z-Man from the Bay, he's a legend, amazing performer. Much love to him. Much love to Anacron for hooking it up. It's amazing when someone you recorded your first song together with when you were 14 years old can book you for a show inside of a museum and give passes to your kids, man. It's just, this hip-hop shit is beautiful. Our community is beautiful. Thank each and every one of you listening. Thank you, Rob Van Franken, for coming out and being at the show with me. Just thank you, Savant. Thank you to Sean Kantrowitz for all your assistance. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Best Rapper in L.A. podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing on Spotify, Apple, wherever it is. If you like the show, leave a review on Apple Music or Spotify. And to support the podcast directly, go to patreon.com/MURS316, Murs316. See y'all next week. Peace.